folks, and welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our book for today is The Wave by Todd Strasser. Now, there is a social experiment, a bit of fighting, and, well, that's about it. So if you're in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Okay, so I think The Wave is a relatively known book. I know there's the movie and also plays. Because when I was still in school, they took us to see a play about The Wave. Now, things they didn't know were that it's based on a real incident that happened in the U.S. in some high school. So that I didn't know. Now, I said Todd Strasser. I hope I'm pronouncing his surname correctly. But here it says Morton Rue. So apparently that's his pen name. I don't remember where I got this edition of the book, but yeah, it doesn't say that. But his real name is Todd Strasser. Later on, at least according to Wikipedia, he put, when the book was republished, he put his real name on there. So, yes. So I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that fact. It was based on a real incident. That was interesting to learn. Okay, so there's a Reddit. Well, I'm sure you know the classroom is out of control. So the story is basically a teacher by the name of Ben Ross teaches history to his class, and they get to where they learn about Nazi Germany. And then he shows them the ghettos, the death camps, and all of that, and the Nazis and the Third Reich. And all the students are shocked and appalled by it. And they can't believe that the Germans just went along with it. Someone's saying if it was me there, I would have never, I would have never been fine with it. I would have said something. And then they ask Mr. Ross, their teacher, how could they have just been so complacent? How could they have, pretended they didn't see all the millions of Jews and other people being killed? And not killed, murdered. And he doesn't know what to answer them. And then they leave, and then he thinks about it more at home, and then devises this whole experiment to essentially show them how people were not complacent. They had to go along with this. And he starts this whole movement, the wave, and we're going to have slogans, and we're going to have a salute. And over the span of a few days, this gains momentum, and more students from other classes want to be in the wave, and they have cards and salutes and discipline, and now everyone's equal. And there's like the student in class who has a big brother who's a great achiever when he was in school, and he just feels like he cannot compare or compete with his brother. And now in this new environment, he suddenly feels, like he's a part of something. So the experiment keeps going. Again, not long. It's like for maybe, a week almost. But it's getting out of hand. The students are suddenly, being real serious about this and pressuring others or convincing them to join the wave. And there's one student, one of the main characters, Laurie Sanders, who she works for the school newspaper, she participates in it, and she writes a whole story about it. And then their friends, and even her boyfriend, are suddenly, why are you doing this? You shouldn't publish this. She gets in a fight with her boyfriend, who actually pushes her out of anger for trying to, tear apart the wave. And he's horrified at what he's done. So it ends with their teacher, because he's called by the principal. The principal telling him, you got to do something. But Mr. Ross really wants them to understand, to get something out of this experiment, to understand why this is so wrong. what's the fucked up part here? So he gets them all into the auditorium. He uses two students who were not in the wave and no one noticed. And with them, he's like, okay, let me show you your leader. And then on screen, on the big screen, is a picture of Hitler. And everyone's just absolutely shocked, appalled, and well, maybe even a little traumatized from the whole thing. I'm just realizing that, fuck me, we were doing what what the Nazis were doing. I mean, no, that's not the right to say. I mean, we essentially joined a movement that operated exactly like the Nazi movement. And they're just all, leaving the auditorium, not looking at each other, dropping all the banners, the signs, everything that belonged to the wave. It ends with Mr. Ross like the comforting that one student that had the brothers was a great achiever there, and that's where the book ended. Now, I will say, even back then when we saw the play, when I went with my class to see the play, it did leave an impression, especially that ending where it's a little different in the play, to be fair. But that part where he tells them in the play, he said, there's no, this is your leader, and then again, a montage of Hitler played, and I was like, holy shit. I mean, it definitely is a very interesting and active way to show them how everything was, how the climate was for the people of Germany during that era. And yeah, as you read along, you get it. Many probably, well, not many, but there were those who obviously didn't agree with what was going on and were horrified by it. But what are you going to do? You got most of the country supporting, or not most of it, but everyone just in this movement, and they think it's great. And it has all these great slogans. And it's like, do you really want to go against it all? Because your family, you will get hurt, your family will get hurt if you go against this. Living in this environment and this constant fear of you having to participate just not to get hurt, and how absolutely terrifying it is, because you can't even criticize any of it, you have to go along with it. And suddenly you're even scared of saying a slight criticism against it all. It is a really good way to show it. I suppose maybe running a live experiment with hormonal teenagers is not the best way. I'm gonna experiment back then. I imagine things got pretty bad. And well, at least according to the brief thing I read on Wikipedia, it did. Which is understandable, because you got, again, teenagers, or at least for the most part, most of them are easily swayed. And they get into this movement, and ooh, you do not want to have it repeat. And even in the book, the students like, this will never happen again. But here you go. Mr. Ross showed them that he managed to recreate it again just in this class experiment. So this is a nice, but I mean, it's a good short little story that shows you, like, at least the steps that cause. Obviously, it's just a story about a class experiment, but still, I think it gives you a very good picture on how it was built, the promises, the atmosphere that was there. That's very good. I'm glad I read this one. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the cover. I mean, it's a fine cover. It gives you the picture of what's gonna be in here. You got all the students here holding the wave flags. You see over there. But yeah, yeah, it's a fine it's an okay cover. It definitely draws your eye with the red. But yes, overall, The story was good. It was so interesting to read how it just progressed more and more, and new rules, new slogans, and you have to do this, and how the students that were first into it slowly started to see the scary and wrong things about it, and how most of them just wanted to be in this, and students from other classes. So yes, I enjoyed the read. I'm glad I read it. Maybe I'll see the movie, but who knows? Me and watching movies usually doesn't pan out. All right, so that is it, folks. So let me know what you thought of The Wave if you read it. What do you think of the experiment? And that is it. Remember, collect what you're passionate about, share it on YouTube. Bye!